Hello everybody, I'm back. I hope that you saw the first part of the workshop where we looked at a few different things you can use for juggling balls. And I would like to, hello everybody. Not only can you use citrus fruit for juggling, which gives you a little bit of moisturizer in your hands, and better for making lemonade out of lemons. Let's face it, in this day and age. The other thing that you can do is make your own juggling balls, which I think that you did yesterday, which you can make using sand in a bag. And I've just used some little balloons here over the top of them with little holes cut in. And that makes for 3 super friendly juggling balls, which is like really nice. So it's cool to do that too. So if you've all got your juggling balls, then we can actually start and do some juggling together. The first thing that we are going to do is to use one ball, and we're going to squish it down like this, and we're going to just put it on your heads. So squish it down like this, put it on your head, and see if you can balance. It might take a little bit of squishing down. If you have a flat head, it gives you a little bit of an advantage. So it's all about focusing this first part. We're actually going to see if we can balance it on our head and then very slowly stand up and just go for a little walk. So this is going to help your posture. It's going to help your balance. It's going to help you focus. You might have seen my little doggies in the background. They're not very interested in juggling, so it's just us today. So we're just doing a little turny aroundy. This is all good. I hope you can hear me. Back to the front again, and we're going to see if we can come down and sit on the floor with your juggling ball still on your head. If it falls on the floor, that's okay. Don't worry about that. We'll look at ways to pick that up later. And then we're going to go all the way down on the floor, and we're going to come back up to standing up again like this. Ta-da! And then we can just tip the ball off and catch it in our hands to finish. That is just a little start to get us in the mood for doing some juggling. What we're going to do now is take our little ball, and we're going to do some little warm-ups. So we're going to have 2 balls, 1 ball in each hand, and just pop over here. And with our juggling balls, we're just going to swing our arms a little bit, all the way around, and just get those shoulders nice and warm so that we can do some juggling together. Cool. All the way around. So when we've done that, all we're going to do is start here. We're going to have a ball in front of our face. We're going to move it around to the back of our head, lift our arm up in the air, and then come back around to come in front of our face. Back of the head, all the way up and down to here. So what we're trying to do is find a way to keep our arm moving, and we're just finding a little bit of a rhythm with that arm to see if we can make a pattern happen. So we're using the weight of our arm and the ball to drop down here, oof, and just keep it going. And you might find that one arm is easier than the other. So we'll try now with the other hand. Put this hand behind your back, other hand coming forwards. We're going to look at the ball in front of our head, behind our head, reach up and stretch it all the way down. And we're going to just carry on doing that and see if we can find a little bit of a rhythm just to get that ball going. In this way, we're warming up our shoulder and our elbow and our wrist and all of the things you're going to be needing to do juggling. Okay, if everybody's practiced with their left hand and their right hand, we're going to see if we can do them both together. So it gets a little bit more complicated. This is using both sides of your brain. So using your left side of your brain and your right side of your brain to use your right side and your left side of your body. So putting it all together goes a little bit like this. We're going to start with this arm. As that arm goes up, the other arm comes up too. So we're doing exactly the same movement, but we're doing both arms together so that we have a little bit of coordination between the 2 arms. And when we think we can do that, we can just make it go a little bit faster. And what we're trying to do is find the rhythm in the juggling ball. So let the weight of the juggling ball fall down with your arm. If it's a bit complicated, if you're not getting it, that's okay. You just go back to doing one arm at a time. So it's one arm all the way up and all the way down. And then you can practice with your other arm all the way up and all the way down and having a little go together. So both hands go together. If you want to get your parents to have a go, they might be better at it than you. Parents, if you're watching, get your kids to have a go. Who knows? It's just a rhythm, and rhythm and focus are two things that we need to learn to do when we're juggling. If you're super coordinated and you can actually do that really, really easily, well done. If you'd like more of a challenge than just doing it forwards, I've got one for you. So if you can do this exercise forwards, a little bit of movement in the body, that's kind of cool. See if you can reverse it and then do it backwards. So this might be one for the adults. It's nice to get a bit of a groove on here, get a bit of a boogie, get moving, but it really does make both sides of your brain think at the same time. So have a go, see how you get on. I hope you can hear me. I hope you're doing all right. We're going to move on to the next little tiny thing we're going to do, but that's a goodie. Okay, this time, what we're going to do is we're going to just have one little tiny circus ball like this, and we're going to hold it in our hand out to the side. All we're going to do is swing that ball from side to side like this. Little bit of side to side swing. And then at the top of the swing, when it goes across your body, we're going to let go of the ball. It's going to go up in the air. We're going to catch it, and then we're going to swing it back again. So all we're going to do is catch the ball. So we're moving and turning the ball over there and catching it at the same time. So you have to look with your eye, make sure it's in your hand. If you can do it on that side, over to the other side, and the same thing again. So all we're doing is swinging the arm, but we're trying to find the rhythm of that so that we can actually use the weight of the ball to guide where it's going to go. If you can do that, awesome work, well done. We're going to try a little bit of extra, and this one goes like this. So we're going to swing it across, snatch the ball there, swing it across and catch the ball there. So you're going to release and release and release and release. Have a go at that one. That's in my right hand. A lot of people are right-handed. It's easier in my right hand. I know it looks like my left, but the camera is reversed, so you'll have to excuse me. Try it in the other hand. So one up here and one up here. One up here and one up here. Fantastic. I'm really hoping that you can all do that, and just letting the weight of the arm swing go, it controls the direction of the ball. I really hope you're ready for your first one ball juggling trick, which is coming up, and it looks a bit like this. So instead of swinging the arm in front of your body like this, what we're going to do is swing the arm behind the body like this. And at the top of the swing, we're going to let the ball go, and we're going to see if we can make it land in the other hand. So we're going to swing across. The ball is going to go up in the air and land in the hand. It looks a bit like, whoop. It doesn't look like that. It looks a bit like this, up in the air and catch it in the hand. So just let the weight of the ball come through and it pops over your shoulder and you catch it in your hand. I'll give you a minute to have a go at that and try it on both sides. I'll have a go too. Boom. Good to do it on both sides. So starting on the other side, whichever one that you've done, and catching it in this hand too. So we've just done a little bit of a warm-up, a little bit of side to side with that one, and we have used both sides of our brain, which is kind of cool. You might have dropped the ball by now. You might have been perfect, and you might have got everything right, but if you have dropped the ball, there's a couple of things you can do to make it more interesting to pick the ball up. So the first one I'm going to show you is I'm going to move the camera down a little bit so that you can see my feet down here. So if you have dropped the ball, hello down there, if you have dropped the ball on the floor and it's next to your feet, what we can do is actually take the ball between our toes like this, and if you jump up and lift the ball up with you and catch it in your hands, then every time you drop a juggling ball, you can turn it into a juggling trick. So it's actually really cool, and you can get away with it, and you can say, I meant to do that. So we'll look at that again. Have a go with me this time. Just before you have a go with the juggling ball, you need to stand with your feet apart, with your knees pointed forwards, and we're going to lift up our knees in front of us so that we can tap our feet with our hands. So it goes like this. If you lift your legs behind you, that's where the juggling ball is going to go. So we need to lift our legs in front of us so that the juggling ball comes in front of us and we can then catch it in our hands. Have a little go of that and see how you get on. I really hope you've all had a go of that. If you've caught the juggling ball in your hands, awesome, well done. If that one, you can practice it. Practice makes perfect, as we know, so make sure you practice it right. If that one's a little bit hard, this is another one. So again, if you've dropped the ball on the floor and you want to pretend that it was meant to be, this is another one you can do. If you just pop the ball on your toe like this, you can lift your foot up and catch it in your hand. I'm going to show you that one again. So down on your foot, you can give it a little squash if you like, and you just need to curl your toes up a little tiny bit so that the ball has somewhere to sit. Lifting it up and catching it in your hand. Ta-da! So that's a couple of ways to pick the ball up from the floor if you drop it by mistake, because it never has to be by mistake. You can always turn it into something, and that's kind of improvising, and improvising is what we're doing when we juggle grapefruits and lemons, which is what we're going to come on to now. So we've done some little things like that. We're going to do a couple of little tricks now. So you've got your juggling ball. First one we're going to do is check our balance. So we're going to try standing on one leg. And while you're standing on one leg, I just want to see if you can close your eyes and still balance, but closing your eyes. So we're really making sure the bottom foot does lots and lots of work. And opening your eyes. Oh, well done. Shake all that out. We're going to try it on the other leg. So just standing on one leg, nice and balanced. We need to be able to balance when we juggle as well, so that we can juggle on crazy things like unicycles and stilts. So balancing on one leg. If you can balance on one leg nice and steady, close your eyes and see if it's easier to balance or harder to balance. If it's not easier or harder, awesome, you have perfect balance. What we're going to do is just have a little play with the one ball. We're going to combine two exercises together now. And we're going to do the swing exercise, but this time we're going to swing the ball underneath the leg, and it goes like that. So we're doing a little kick, balancing on the other leg, but we're trying to move it so that we have a little bit of a rhythm in between the two. And we're throwing it from side to side, just underneath the leg like that, so that we catch it in the hand each time. Really hoping you're doing well with this. It's almost time to think about getting a friend in. So if you've got your mum or your dad or your sister or brother who's watching at the moment, and they're kind of, I don't know, maybe they're making comments or maybe they're curious, but there is going to be something that we're going to ask them to join in with in a few minutes' time. So give them a little wink and a nod and make sure that they're ready to come along and join in the fun. Okay, before we do that, we just need to do a tiny bit more. If that brother or sister or mum or dad is looking curious now, now might be the time to lend them one of your juggling balls so that we can look at actually learning to juggle. Just so that they don't take themselves too seriously, we're going to do one last little trick before we do that, and that is by bending forwards like this. We're going to see if we can balance that juggling ball on the top of our necks like this. We're going to balance it there and kind of hold it in our necks, and to make sure it doesn't fall on the floor like that, we're going to make ourselves have chicken wings. So we're going to put our elbows back and we're going to lift our head up and have chicken wings like this, and then we're going to roll it down our backs and it comes out to the other side. So it's kind of like a chicken laying an egg. So if you want to have a little go of that, maybe get your brother or sister involved, see if they'd like to have a go too. That would be very cool, and then that'll get them in the mood for when we're just going to learn how to do juggling in a few minutes' time. Have a go of that now. Cool. I hope you've all had a chance to practice laying an egg. It's kind of cool, and it's just another thing that you can do with a ball. Okay, it's time to start throwing balls in the air and actually learning to juggle. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to stand up over here, and we're just going to have your favourite juggling ball. Your favourite juggling ball, and we are going to stand with your feet apart, your knees slightly bent, nice and straight through here, standing really tall, and we're just going to put that ball into the other hand, and then we're going to pop it back again. What we're trying to do is just to make the ball float across the top of our head, and then across the top of our head coming back, like this. What we're not trying to do is to throw it all the way to the other side of the room. One, because it might knock something over, but also because you won't be able to catch it, which, you know, you kind of need to be able to catch juggling balls. So don't go throwing it over the other side of the room. We're just going to be standing here. If you can throw it nice and easily and catch it every time from one side to the other, then stick yourself a little clap in the middle of the throw, like this. So a little bit of a clap in the middle of the throw. If you can do that, you can throw it a tiny bit higher. Watching out for all the ceiling fans and the balls dropping on the floor, but 2 claps and catch it again. I actually have a ceiling fan here. I'm going to show you. There you go. It's one of the hazards of trying to do circus in your own home, but that's okay. We've just got to overcome these obstacles at the moment, and that's all good. So we've got a clap, and we've got 2 claps. That's really nice, but we can't just juggle with 1 ball. We need at least 2. So we're going to add a second ball into that, and what we're going to do now is we're going to learn to drop the balls before we can catch them. So a really good way to do this is we're going to throw them up in the air. They're going to land on the floor, just so that we don't throw them too far forwards, which is what we tend to do when we're learning to juggle. I've got a little secret weapon here, which I'm going to show you now. Hello, so I've got a little hula hoop here, which I'm going to put on the floor, and you can do the same thing if you maybe mark the floor. It's just a little bit of a way to make sure that you're throwing the balls upwards and not forwards. So all we're going to do is drop balls on the floor, but we're going to drop them inside this little hula hoop. So it looks a bit like this. All I'm going to do is stand at the back of my little area that I've marked. It's about 1 metre across, so not too big, but it has to be so that I can catch the ball from wherever it is within the hoop. All I'm going to do is I'm going to throw one ball up and then the other ball up. I'm going to start with my right hand, if I'm right-handed, and I'm going to go throw, and then you'll hear on the floor, drop, drop. Drop, drop. So the aim is to get these juggling balls landing inside the little hula hoop so that you're not throwing them over to the other side of the wall or the room or knocking anything over. And it also gives you the best chance of catching them. So I'll just show you that again. We're going to start here. We're going to start with the same hand, throw, drop, drop. You heard them dropping there on the floor. And we're going for that rhythm of throw, drop, drop. And there they are in the circle, so that's going okay. When you can do it one way, we're going to do it the other way. So we're going to start with the other hand, throw, drop, drop. And just to check that they're still in that circle each time to make sure that you've got a chance of catching them later on. Okay, so once you can throw the balls and you're throwing them in a really good controlled way, you can learn to catch them. So what we're aiming for is for these juggling balls, one is going to go up and over to here, and the same time, slightly afterwards, that ball's going to come over to there. So this is slow motion for the juggling balls. So one ball starts in one hand, it's going to be thrown up in the air, travel across, and when it's at the top, the other ball comes down like that. So what it looks like in real life, I'm going to go back to my little circle, is throw, catch, like this. Throw, catch. When you can do it on one side, go back and start with the other hand. So I'm going to start with this hand now. Throw, catch. Throw, catch. Woo, woo, oops. So each time, if you land on the floor, that's okay. So what we've got is we've got throw, catch with 2 balls. Just 2 balls. Now, you might be thinking, juggling is with 3 balls, so when do we get to do 3 balls? Well, I kind of find that 2 pairs of hands is usually easier than 1. So if you haven't juggled before, and this is really for people who haven't juggled before, now's the time to get your sister or your mum or somebody who thinks they might be able to help and bring them along and ask them to join in your little game. So I'll give you a minute to do that, and then we're going to have a little go at something that's called buddy juggling with your buddy. So go pick your buddy and I'll see you back here in a tick. You're going to need 2 balls. 1 ball for one person and 1 ball for the other person. Cool. I'm really hoping you've got your buddy. I don't have a buddy here because we're in isolation, and unfortunately I'm here by myself without a buddy. But I'm hoping that most of you at home are young people and you have parents and sisters and brothers around you. So if you do, that's great. Because I don't, I'm going to do it in mind. So you'll have to just try and use your imaginations a little bit to see how this one works. So basically, you're going to stand next to your buddy and you're going to put your arm around them. You're just going to put your arm around their hip, so that you have one hand free. So this arm, it goes behind their back and you want that arm to disappear. You've got one hand here and this is going to be the arm that's doing half of the juggling. The other person over here is going to have this arm that's going to be doing this half of the juggling. And this hand can go round behind that person's back, or you can just hide it here. But the important thing is that you're standing right next to each other. So one person here with this hand ready to juggle, and one person here with this hand ready to juggle. Okay, this may turn into a comedy act, but I'll give it a go anyway. So what we're trying to do is the person on one side, they have one juggling ball in their hand. The person on the other side, they have one juggling ball in their hand. If you can imagine me, this belongs to one person, this hand, and this hand was going to belong to another person. We're going to try the same exercise again that we just did by yourself, but only with one hand, so that you've got a throw and a catch. But one person is being the left hand, and the other person is just being the right hand. So if you can have a little go of that, throw, catch, throw, catch. Believe it or not, you're learning at the moment, which is kind of cool, so you are learning to juggle. If you have happened to have dropped the balls, that's why it's good to come back to your little circle, because if they drop in the circle, it means, yes, you could have caught it. If it's way over the other side of the room, then probably not, you couldn't have caught it. So make sure that if they do drop on the floor, then they drop close to you, and then you know that you can catch them. And then you just need to keep your eye in and just learn to catch a little bit. So what we've got now is a chance to do actual buddy juggling. You probably worked it out by now, but for this you need 3 balls all together like this. Okay, this is where the mind gets a little bit silly, but the person standing on the right hand side, which for you looks like this, that person is going to hold 2 balls in this hand. The person standing on the left hand side is going to just hold 1 ball in their hand. And this is how it works. So the person standing with 2 balls in their hand, they're going to throw a ball up. This person is then going to throw this ball up, and this person is going to throw the last ball up, and they're all going to land in the circle on the floor. So if I can beat the 2 people at the same time, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and they're all going to land in the ring. And that way, I know that I could have caught any of them. So I'm going to show you that again, but we're going to start with the other hand, just to make sure we don't get lopsided. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And they all fall in the ring. So, to learn to juggle, next step is you catch ball number 1. Just ball number 1. You're going to go throw, but you're going to catch ball number 1. So you're going to end up with 1 ball in your hand and 2 balls in the ring. When you've learned how to do that, all you need to do is build it up. So what we have is throw, but you catch 2 of them. And again, the third one, so long as it lands in the ring, you know that you're going in the right direction. So you've got 2 people, you're just going to use 1 hand each, you're just going to think about your left hand over here, you're just going to think about your right hand over here. You have to think about being considerate, so that the other person can actually catch the ball, very important in juggling, because really you're kind of throwing it to yourself. So when you bring it together and you get to catch the 3rd ball, there's a slight problem because you've got 2 hands and 3 balls. So what this means is you need to get rid of a ball out of your hand before you can catch the 3rd ball. So it goes, and you're just going to get rid of that 3rd ball. You're just going to keep throwing. Every time you throw, try and make sure the balls land in the hoop. And your job is just to catch balls, to catch more and more balls. So eventually, with your buddy, and make sure that you switch over so that you can train each hand separately how to do this. With your buddy, eventually, you're going to do a whole juggle, But if you do the steps leading up to it, and you work with your buddy, and you are considerate, and you focus on what you're doing, then hopefully, if you do a little bit of practice, you will learn to juggle. That's the end of our time together. Thank you so much for joining me and being part of my maiden voyage into Facebook Live. There's strange times we live in. Please, everybody, keep yourself safe. Enjoy your time at home with each other. Thank you so much to the Shire of Dardanup and iHeartDardanup, and I'll see you another time. Thank you. Bye.